Hey there ladies and gents, it's Joypadjake here, and welcome to our next retro game review. Today we're looking at Disney Pixar's The Incredibles, which released in 2004 for the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox. Let's hop into the incredible story for this game, shall we? It's showtime! Now for the most part, I have no issues with the game's story. It follows that of the movie very nicely, and you're not struggling to keep up with what's happening during the cutscenes. However, there are certain filler levels that exist purely to make a 2-hour movie into a game with more than double the length. Certain levels in this game feel either tacked on and are just there for the sake of being there, looking at you, Rocket Silo, while others conflict with the original story told in the film. A key example of this is when Mr. Incredible returns to No Man's Island after getting his snazzy new threads, courtesy of Edna Mode. In the film, the scene plays out as him simply arriving to the island for another assignment via Mirage, who's oddly enough missing from this game, apart from the film cinematics. However, to add more substance to this scene in the game, they felt the need to fill the island with enemy soldiers, pods, and tanks that try to stop you from simply going to your job. I mean, come on THQ, I already face enough problems going to work in real life. I don't need it here too! All jokes and ranting aside, the story of this game is told very well, not perfect, but definitely entertaining. The Incredibles game has you play as all the members of the family through their own separate levels, minus of course baby Jack, who's secretly the most powerful of them all. Each hero's levels are structured very differently, so I'm going to give a brief explanation for each playstyle using the GameCube controller. For those of you on PS2 and Xbox, just find the equivalent buttons on your controller. For Mr. Incredible, the A button is for jumping, and pressing A while also holding in the R button will make Bob perform a high jump, while just holding the R button by itself will make him crouch. The B button is for light attacks, and the Y button is for heavy attacks, or as they're called by Frozone in the game's tutorial, Incredipunches. However, to do these attacks, you need Incredipower, which is represented by the white bars inside the Incredibles logo located in the top left-hand corner of your screen. The longer you hold in the Y button, the stronger your Incredipunch will be. The X button can be used to grab throwable objects and even certain enemies. Press the X button a second time to throw the enemy or object you're currently holding. When climbing on ledges, the Y button can also be used to do ledge takedowns on unsuspecting enemies. So this is where the Batman Arkham games got their takedowns from, eh? It all makes so much sense now. Let's move on to Elastigirl, who plays essentially the opposite of her Muscle Man. While Helen and Bob share the same basic moves, such as light attacks, Incredipunches, jumping, and throwing, Bob relies on power and the impact of his attacks, while Elastigirl is better suited for picking off enemies from further away. Instead of crouching like her husband, the R button will instead allow Helen to perform a long-distance strike, in addition to swinging across certain gaps that would be otherwise impassable. She is a lot quicker and more agile than her husband, which makes it easier for her to escape bad situations, and she's by far my favorite character to use in this game. Now with Dash, there's really no fighting whatsoever. It's all about the running, as you'd expect. The only power of Dash that you can utilize in this game is a speed boost. This ability is triggered with the Y button. However, be wary, as using too much of this ability will either make you burned out and unable to keep running, or cause you to run headfirst into your death. Also, try not to go too fast when running and making tight turns in a level for the exact same reason. Now lastly, with Violet, she only has one level to herself. During this level, your goal is to remain undetected as you sneak past the guards. Her invisibility is triggered with the Y button, but only lasts for a few seconds as long as you have power in your Incredimeter, which will recharge after about half a minute. A cheap way you can manipulate this is by entering the code TonyLoaf into the secrets menu. This will extend the amount of time that you remain invisible. When you're about to become visible again, the screen will flash white to give you a warning. While this feature is not necessarily needed to complete the level, it can reduce the amount of failures, headaches, and broken controllers, something I'm sure my wallet is thrilled about. Anyway, let's move on into the design. The Incredibles game has a large amount of very intricate design that complements the film very nicely. The levels make you feel like you're watching an extended and even more engaging cut of what's happening in the movie. The levels inspired from the movie are very well done, and even some of the filler levels have good designs as well. My personal favorite environments to explore in this game were No Man's Island as Mr. Incredible and Syndrome's base as Elastigirl. The actual in-game cutscenes, not to be confused with those taken right from the movie, are animated very well and add to the high amount of immersion that this game offers. To put it simply, the visuals are incredible. The Incredibles game has a wide array of good aspects to it. The game is very fun to play while still providing plenty of challenge for even experienced players like myself 18 years later. The game is also filled with amazing music taken directly from the movie and also features an arena that you can use to hone your skills as either Mr. Incredible or Elastigirl, which can be unlocked after completing the level Great Falls, where you face off against the second Omnidroid. Another feature that I love in this game is that you can replay any level you've beaten as much as you want to, which means I can go back and play in those Glory Days costumes as Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl, and hopefully stay away from those Dash and Violet levels and never look at them again. One last detail that I love about this game is all of the Easter eggs to other Pixar films that can be spotted in the levels. Two examples of this can both be seen in Dash's Late to School level, where you can encounter the pizza van and the moving van, both featured in the first Toy Story film. This game has so many good aspects to it that if I really had to name them all, we would be here for a while. As incredible as so many aspects of this game are, there are a number of aspects that do annoy me. The first of which is that Mr. Incredible has too many levels to himself. He has 11 total levels, which leaves barely any for the rest of the family members. Elastigirl has 3 levels to herself, Dash has 2, and Violet has 1. Violet and Dash do share a level with the Incrediballs sequence featured in the film, but that's still way too many levels for Bob and not nearly enough for the other supers. Speaking on Dash's levels, his levels themselves are very, very flawed, mainly due to the fact that every time Dash crashes, you hear his signature catchphrase,
I'm the Dash. I'm the Dash. I'm the Dash.
And this one-liner gets very annoying as you hear it over and over and over again, depending on how many times you fail. Now with Violet's level, one thing that never made sense to me, even all these years later, is the fact that you can't use her second ability at all. You can use her invisibility, that's all fine and good, but she has a whole nother ability called force fields that this level doesn't let you utilize whatsoever. It would be so much easier if that was the case, and it really doesn't make any sense why you can't use it. One level that really deserves a whole con by itself is the rocket silo level towards the end of the game with Mr. Incredible. The checkpoints in that level are so few and far between, and the amount of enemies that you have to get through in between those checkpoints is a freaking trial of patience that's going to get you very angry and possibly quit the game, as it did to many players back in the day. One small nitpick that I do have with this game is that you can't play as Frozone in the last mission against the Omnidroid, at least not in the main consoles. You can on GBA though. Hey, you guys on GBA, you having fun over there? Cool. All jokes and ranting aside, I do still love this game despite the many issues that I have with it, and if I had to give it a score, I would give it a solid 7 out of 10, which I don't think is a bad score whatsoever, even though it may look like it. This game does still have plenty of good aspects, but some that do bring it down from a perfect 10. I thank you guys so much for checking out this incredible game review, and what are we going to do for our next review? Well, I'm actually going to reveal it this time. It is going to be Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. I hope you guys will enjoy that review when it comes, and I hope you enjoyed this one as well. If you have any thoughts, please drop them in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and if you want to see more, please subscribe. See you all later.